The whole idea is that you and your designer friends could be even nerdier and designier. Hello, design nerd. In our last video, we covered, well, my broken car. But we also explored how to use Boolean operations to create maps in Figma. We then used overlapping shapes to create a fog of war effect, and even made a fun little D20. Even though you can achieve highly detailed maps and nice patterns this way, it requires a lot of work and must be created 100% prior to the session. This time, not only do I have a more enjoyable way of building modular maps, but I also have a new car that starts on the first attempt. So while Figma may not have all the bells and whistles of VTTs, which for you designers out there means virtual tabletop, it should at least be fun to use, right? The whole idea is that you and your designer friends could be even nerdier and designier. We're going to explore a new approach to building dungeons using modular tiles. If you're familiar with D&D board games like Wrath of Ashardalin or Betrayal at the House on the Hill, you'll know they generate random maps with tiles. While we don't want a totally random map, we can use the concept of infinite tiles to design super fun dungeons for our party. If you don't know by now, one of the greatest features in Figma are variants. With variants, you can quickly swap between components such as button styles. I've added a link in the description to the video that Figma put out explaining this tool. That being said, we're going to completely misuse it, and I mean like a lot. Before we get into this, I am currently addicted to Tears of the Kingdom, and I really wish I was playing that instead of making this video. But I'm not, so our colors today come from the Zelda VS Code theme from Ali Martz, which you can find a link for in the description. First, we gotta make our grid. Let's make it a 12 by 12 with each square being 64 pixels. Then we need to turn it into a component. Perfect. Now as a component, we can create variants by going over to the tool dialog, clicking the plus symbol next to properties, and then selecting the variant option. Now our component is in a dashed box with a little plus sign, and every time we click that plus sign, it will create a new variant while keeping it within the parent component. Each of these variants is a new usable asset that we can customize. Now we can add different wall layouts and textures and even entirely custom rooms. Once we're ready to start building our dungeon, we simply drop in the component, open the drop-down menu in the tool dialog that contains all of our variants, and choose the tile that we want to use. The first blank grid acts as a fog of war. When the party makes it to a new tile, we simply select the desired asset and allow exploration to continue. This approach provides flexibility and, in my opinion, a far more enjoyable experience for both players and the DM. If I haven't convinced you to give variants a try, maybe this concept will convince you. This can all be applied to other assets, like wall props and floor assets. You can use them to create a table, ladder, or altar simply by dropping in the floor asset and selecting the appropriate prop. You can even use this technique to illustrate the blast radius and cone reach for spells. I encourage you to go through and make map components in your own style. But if you'd like to start with mine, I've added it to the Figma community. You can download it through the link in our description. I'd love to talk more about how to misuse Figma. Leave your thoughts in the comments below, or head on over to mof1.network and join our Slack community. If you haven't seen the first video in the series, click here.